With climate change intensifying, the stability of the planet is at stake. By 2050, greenhouse gas emissions must be reduced by 80% if we are to have a chance of tackling this crisis. Environmental leadership is needed more urgently than ever. In November 2015, hopes were raised when world leaders committed to reducing emissions with the Paris Climate Agreement. But in June 2017, President Trump pulled the United States out of the accord.
The United States will withdraw.
The reaction against his decision was widespread and immediate. China stepped into the role of global environmental leader and, with the European Union, reaffirmed its commitment to tackling climate change. It is now the biggest superpower in the worldwide alliance of people fighting to protect the planet.
I'm Russell Beard in Washington, D.C. to find out how much people power can make a difference in fighting climate change.
And I'm Stephanie Wong in Shenzhen, southern China, which is leading the world in new low-carbon transport initiatives.
Even before he became president, it was clear that Trump's environmental policies were going to fly in the face of much of the progress made over the previous decade. Only a few months into office, and his approach threatens not only global security, but also that of the United States itself, where the effects of climate change are already keenly felt. President Trump has started the process of rolling back the Clean Water Rule, which conserves the nation's waterways. He's threatening the existence of the Environmental Protection Agency, the national organization set up to protect the environment and communities, and he's revived government support for fossil fuels.
My administration is putting an end to the war on coal.
But Trump's environmental legacy might have a surprising twist. I'm in the USA to see how communities are coming together to bypass the White House, forming a global network of grassroots resistance. I've come to the People's Climate March here in Washington, D.C. It's one of 300 marches across the country calling for a change in environmental policy.
We chose this date for being able to reach out around climate because it's Trump's 100th day, right? And in terms of all of the dismantling of the work that we've done, we're here to say,
we're dealing with climate change right now. It's not a situation where, you know, it'll be coming to us in the future. It is happening right now in my community. And so I came all the way here to D.C. to say that enough is enough.
With 81% of the United States' energy still coming from oil, coal and natural gas, many are here to oppose the Trump administration's support for the fossil fuel industry. I come across Wes Gillingham from New York State, an outspoken activist for renewable energy.
The oil and gas industry has a serious onslaught to lock us into the infrastructure that's going to keep us addicted to fossil fuels for the next 50 years. The people that are here walking today, they have the exact opposite message. We want new forms of energy, alternative energy, renewable energy.
If the environment were a bank, it would have been saved by now. Wow, you could just stand here for ages looking at these wonderful kind of slogans. This chap up the front is Michael. He's from an organization called South Bronx Unite. They're facing some significant challenges with air pollution in their community. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks.
I've come here to represent my coalition as how we can work together nationally to combat climate change and global warming.
What is the power of this kind of protest that we're seeing here?
No real true change has ever happened without this type of engagement. From the civil rights movement to the right for women to vote, to gay rights, to you name it. All change we see that's happened to our community, to our society, that's been momentous, has come through this type of engagement.
5 hours later, the official count comes in, and it surpasses everyone's expectations. Over 200,000 people showed up, double the expected turnout. But as the march winds down, there's still one person I want to meet.
Mustafa, how are you? I'm good, brother.
Mustafa Ali quit his job as senior advisor of the Environmental Protection Agency's Environmental Justice Team 2 months after President Trump came into power. I want to know why he's here today.
As an individual, sometimes it can be overwhelming and you feel disconnected. We're connecting folks. So it is a global movement. There is a global connection that is happening. And we're going to utilize that power to make change, not only for today, but for future generations as well.
Can you give us a sense of how you and the rest of the people here are hoping to put pressure on the administration?
So this is not just a moment, this is a movement. And that means that once folks are done marching, we're breaking down silos. People are coming together in authentic ways and creating collaboration. Folks are going to go back to their respective communities. They're going to take the information that they got here, but they are also going to get engaged. And that means that they're going to get engaged on the local level and the state level.
Talking to the marchers here, there's a real sense that people power can create change. But how can a local groundswell stand up to federal policies? Wes Gillingham, who I met on the march, has invited me back to his farm in the Catskill Mountains, North New York State, to show me how to do just that. Former teacher, Wes lives on a small holding farm using 100% renewable energy.
So this is electric charge. It goes to the ground, and then this is...
it's a portable solar generator.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, one person can move it from one place to the other as we move the fence around.
But Wes isn't your average farmer. He led the charge on one of the most powerful environmental citizen campaigns in New York State history. In 2009, he built a local coalition that sidestepped federal policy by claiming that fracking could pollute the state's waterways. Using local state legal obligation to guarantee clean water to its citizens, Wes and his colleagues managed to ban fracking across the entire state. Today, he has his sights set on a new bill to transition New York State into 100% renewable energy by 2050.
It's a huge lift to do this, but we need to mandate it and come up with how to do it. And labor's involved too, because right now there's more jobs in the renewable sector than there is in the fossil fuel sector. And New York State has the political inertia to do that now, partly coming out of the fracking fight. We have a highly educated population in the state because of that fracking fight. So that's why we're going to Albany.
If successful, Wes's bill would nudge New York State towards a greener future, creating thousands of jobs in the process. To push it forward, Wes is heading to the state capitol building in Albany, where every Tuesday groups are invited to lobby local government.
There's a whole presentation on gun violence, whatever legislation they're pushing, and people come from all over the state to follow it, and then some of these folks are probably going off and having meetings with their elected officials from their community.
This is genuine kind of bottom-up politics that's happening right in front of us.
This is it. This is how it works in this country. There's a lot of interesting ironies that happen on Tuesdays in Albany. I might be here pushing for something to stop a pipeline, and then I get on an elevator with someone from the Oil and Gas Association of America who's got a paid lobbyist there, trying to do the exact opposite, put pipelines all over the place.
I follow Wes as he meets with his local legislator to put forward the plan for 100% renewable energy in New York State, but we weren't allowed to film the meeting. 2 hours later, Wes emerges with wingman Eddie Batista.
It's a climate emergency. The governor needs to show some urgency. And so we don't know yet if he's going to step up and take the kind of bold leadership that we need in an age of Trump. But we have about 4.5 weeks to make it happen, and I like our chances. What do you...
Yeah, well, and you asked what's going to happen next. I mean, we've got another meeting with folks in the Senate, but the other thing that's going to happen is Eddie's going to go back down to Brooklyn. I'm going to go to the Catskills, and we're going to get everybody in those places on board with this and push for it. Then they can't ignore it. And the folks, the organizations that function out of Albany, they're going to be doing the same thing here in Albany with all those elected. They told us 10 years ago there's no way that you could stop fracking. It's going to happen. And after a 7-year fight, the governor announced that there's a ban on fracking. We stopped it. So it doesn't really matter what President Trump says about the EPA or what. We're going to make that transition despite him, and that would be awesome.
We don't know if they're going to succeed in this. But what we do know is that after being in DC and seeing all these community groups that are working together, is that climate change is not one problem with one silver bullet solution. It's made up of many little problems that interact and intersect in every aspect of our lives. And what that means is that we all have an opportunity to get involved. And it's actually the getting involved and being together, that's the people power. That's the solution.
A month after filming, continued efforts by Wes and other campaigners were validated when the governor of New York State, Andrew Cuomo, signed an executive order pushing all agencies to develop plans for 80% renewable energy by 2050.
We need to start acting on this on multiple levels in every agency of government and in every community in this state, and let's do it now.
Throughout the United States, coalitions are solidifying, united by the commitment to meeting the Paris Agreement targets. The group Climate Mayors has over 300 members. Over 1,200 governors, mayors, colleges, universities and businesses have joined a public campaign called We Are Still In. A union of 12 states plus Puerto Rico has been founded by the governors of Washington, New York and California.
The United States Climate Alliance is a coalition of states that have reacted to President Trump's decision to withdraw the United States from the climate treaty, and these states stepped up, taking it upon themselves to do the things that would be necessary if the United States were still at the table. This is a coalition that can get as big as there are jurisdictions that are willing to work with us. I think there's real hope that as states see other states joining and getting some benefit out of it, that they'll decide that they want to be part of it too.
California is also working internationally. In June 2017, Governor Jerry Brown signed a deal to work on climate change with China.
China looks to us now as a representative of the United States. They want to see not just California, but other states coming to China. They want to send people here to learn from some of our techniques that we've used over the years to bring down the levels of smog, which not that long ago were as bad as what you now see today in Beijing. Seeing countries or states or cities that are cutting their emissions and doing well economically is what everybody needs to be doing, and we all can learn from each other because there is no one place that has a monopoly on all the good ideas.
China is the world's biggest CO2 emitter, and urban air pollution here has reached crisis levels. But megacities like Shenzhen are now harnessing the power of both the government and the private sector to roll out new low-carbon transport initiatives that are blazing a trail not just for other cities in China, but for the rest of the world.
Shenzhen, a booming metropolis in China's southeastern manufacturing belt. Until the 80s, just a farming community, Shenzhen was chosen as a testing ground for Communist China's experiment with capitalism. Now it's China's answer to Silicon Valley, with over 11 million inhabitants, 150 skyscrapers, and 3 million cars. But China's boom has come at a price. The World Health Organization has estimated that air pollution kills 1 million people in the country each year. It's a crisis that desperately needs a solution.
And part of that solution is hopefully about to pick me up. So I've just hopped into one of Shenzhen's electric taxis, and they say that by 2020, all of the taxis in Shenzhen are going to be fully electric, which is amazing. So I'm off to find out how that's going to be done.
I'm visiting BYD, or Build Your Dreams, which produce the 5,500 electric taxis currently on Shenzhen streets. Richard Lee is going to show me around.
Hey, welcome.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Welcome to BYD, welcome.
So for people who don't know too much about BYD, what can you tell us about it?
Well, BYD started in 1995 as a battery manufacturer, but now BYD is actually the world's largest new energy vehicle manufacturer. So this is the BYD E6, and this is the first and the most successful BYD pure electric vehicle. Once it's fully charged, this vehicle gives you 400 kilometers drive range. We mainly deliver this to taxi fleet, in China and to the world.
BYD reflects a global shift in the industry towards China, which last year sold around 400,000 new energy vehicles, more than twice as many as the US. That's been made possible by the billions of US dollars worth of subsidies the Chinese government has used to boost the industry.
If you want to buy EV, electric vehicle, you're entitled to certain subsidies. For example, in Shenzhen, if you want to buy a ton like this, so you can entitle around like 40,000 RMB in total of subsidies.
That's about 15% off the price of this car, their best-selling plug-in hybrid, which uses a chargeable battery and a gasoline engine.
So because this is a plug-in hybrid car, so it features 2 drive modes. So now we're operating this EV mode. So that is the pure electric drive mode right now.
And then so you have HEV over there.
Yes,
right next
we
to
also
it.
have the HEV mode there because if you switch the HEV, anytime you like, because the engine will start will kick in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, you feel it.
So that will give you a better power performance.
But it's not just cars. BYD is making electric buses, trucks, and service vehicles for ports, airports, and even mines. An electric monorail runs through their campus. The goal is to fully electrify every transportation sector. In Shenzhen, that's already becoming a reality.
Okay, it's an electric double-decker bus. Let's get on. So it's pretty amazing to think that by September, all of the buses in Shenzhen are going to be fully electric like this one.
All this means that within a few years, the city's entire public transportation system will be fossil fuel free. But what about the roughly 3 million private drivers?
你好，你好，你好，好高兴你可以带我们。
I'm taking a ride with Lu Dongpeng. He recently became a father and also bought his second electric car.
就是我小时候的时候，我们都很喜欢在户外去玩耍。 这个空气质量就可能下降了不少，像现在的一些小朋友，他可能就不愿意出去玩了，因为家长也不允许。
Lu saw so much potential in the electric car market that he opened his own dealership and repair shop in July 2016.
BYD 可以看到。Wow.
Shenzhen has restricted new license plates for fuel cars, while dishing them out liberally for new electric vehicles, or NEVs for short. Lu has seen monthly sales almost double in the last 6 months.
最近那个客人他们为什么选择一个电动车呢？
最主要还是因为深圳是限牌的。他如果不买电动车的话，他要等待很长的时间才能买一台汽油车。那他肯定急用的话，肯定选择先买电动车。然后第二个原因，我相信应该还有很大一部分人其实已经慢慢有这个环保意识。
It seems that consumer perceptions have already shifted.
So I spy a customer. Let's see what she thinks.
我觉得电动车的话，现在来说的话都比较普遍，因为尤其是深圳这边，并且从乘坐的舒适度来说的话，会更加的舒适。因为燃油车的话，你坐起来有的时候会觉得有油味啊，然后容易晕车啊之类的。
Of course, all this electricity has to come from somewhere. In Shenzhen, running an electric car generally produces less than a third of the CO2 of a gasoline car, but it's still not carbon zero. Luckily, there's an even cleaner way to get around, one that runs on nothing but good old-fashioned legwork. Meet China's dockless city cycles. In little more than a year, legions of these smart bikes have flooded the country's cities. Operated by 24 competing companies, each with a distinct color and design, by the end of 2017, China will have 20 million of them. I'm meeting up with cycle enthusiasts Zhang Shujian and Zheng Qiwen to learn how to use Mobike, one of the leading companies.
你可以就是第一个，你就是可以看周围哪里有哦，然后第二个的话就是你看这里嘛，这里就是有很多单车啊，你就点预约用车，然后他会就告诉你这个路线怎么走。
那么我就试一下哦，那么它在这样就可以亮。
The application uses GPS to find a bike near you.
哦，就是这个，
对，就是这一辆，扫这个，
扫。
Wow.
That's so cool.
You pay with mobile payment, which is now widely used across China, and off you go.
Okay. So I'm testing out this Mobike in this park right now before I unleash myself in the world and onto the streets of Shenzhen. And I feel pretty good right now. 那么你们通常会不会用 Mobike 这样玩呢？
会，如果出去逛街的时候，就会踩一下单车，比较方便。这样子就挺好。就是没有共享单车的时候，大家可能就是开车去上班或者出去玩之类的，那就是二氧化碳的话排放会很多嘛。那像现在有了共享单车之后，人们就可以骑这个单车，那对这个空气的这个质量也会有所改善的。
Just over a year since their launch, Mobike has 200,000 bikes in Shenzhen alone. Now they could be coming to a city near you. Mobike is already up and running in Singapore, and a Chinese competitor is launching in the US this year. But being able to lead them anywhere does create problems. I'm meeting with some Mobike boys, as they're known, to find out how they stop the city from being overtaken by discarded bikes.
我可以停在这里吗？
哎，可以的，把车放这里吧。
Wen Wenhao and Huang Jianqing use GPS to search for faulty bikes reported by users.
看这个手板坏了，我们把那个师傅叫过来，把车给推上去吧。哎。
Our hunt has brought us to one of Shenzhen's dense neighborhoods, known as urban villages.
是那样吗 ？OK。
编码是多少？
编码是775。
哦，这里差了。
Wow. OK。
什么问题？我看一下。卡住了。
Okay. Oh wow. It's really stuck together. They're literally like you have one pedal that's just stuck in the spokes. Oh wait, it just got freed. Okay. Okay. So somebody has locked these bikes together. Well, that complicates things. 那么这两辆我们就要放在这里吧。
对，先放这里吧。
好吧。
Those cycles that make it out alive get fixed up and redistributed to official parking spots. Local transport authorities have set these up to accommodate the new bikes and to try to regulate the system. So now this private initiative has been incorporated into the public transport system.
好了 ，OK， 那我们这样排起来也很整齐啊。
对啊，是啊，你看，谢谢你能够帮我排得这么整齐，多亏了你了。
那么就安排投放就会很复杂吧？
哦，是有点复杂，但是呢，从我们后台有数据，可以再根据我们人口密集的地方去安放我们投放车辆。
Order out of chaos. The cycle system is still far from perfect, but it shows how willing the government is to let private businesses solve environmental problems. And overall, the approach is working. Harmful small particulate matter in Shenzhen's air has almost halved in the last 4 years. If the trend continues, Shenzhen will succeed in meeting EU air quality standards by 2020. It would be the first major Chinese city to do that, encouraging cities like Shanghai and Beijing that are also investing in low-carbon transport.
China is still the world's biggest polluter, but there's no doubt it's moving forward and fast. And that's at least one reason to be optimistic.
The environmental crisis facing our planet is greater now than ever before. But, as we've seen in this series of Earthrise, it's in the face of the biggest challenges that some of the most effective solutions can emerge. Some depend on cutting-edge science, whilst others can be simple. All are spearheaded by people who are determined to make a difference. It's when local initiatives get wider political and financial support that they can really make a difference globally. Despite the current US administration, people and governments around the world are coming together in the battle to combat climate change. This can only be encouraging when there is so much urgent work to do.